Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how the West is wasting, squandering, destroying, and taking out the back and murdering all technical and scientific innovation. Now, I'm seeing this so often, and it's driving me crazy with annoyance and just the sheer frustration of watching such waste taking place, all on the altar of political correctness and wokeism. So I'm going to sort of give you a few examples, but the most recent one was I was chatting to a guy who'd been appointed sort of head of a really sort of high-powered or influential, at least, quango that was meant to be approving inventions coming out of research centres, universities, and so on, and making sure that this technology was if there was the assumption it would be commercially viable, and then making sure money got to that, and that it had investment backing it, and it was turned into a commercially viable enterprise. At least that was the sort of the general idea of. But when governments or any sort of even the big banks and big finance get involved in this, there's two things they always do. One is they want to appoint their buddies, their mistresses, their cocksucking mates. They want to just stuff it full of people that are there as passengers, rewards for favors, real or imagined. They don't even attempt to think, now let's appoint the best people we can to give this technology the best chance of succeeding, becoming a world-beating technology that'll give lots of jobs to Western citizens and Australia in this case. And let's make sure it succeeds. Let's do everything we can to make it a commercial success. But no. It's a gravy train. It's a gravy train to be milked for the last drop, and you stick all your buddies in there, and all the political hacks and goons and hangers-on and parasites. That's what you do, and that just happens as a matter of course. It seems they can't not do it. So I'm talking to this guy who's heading up the quango, and I suppose he's a nice enough guy, but he's never worked in the private sector in his life. He's never commercialized anything. He's never brought any product to market and made a success of it. So he's the last fucking guy you would put in this job, but he's politically well connected. He's liked by the right people in the senior public service and so on. And the gig he's on pays about $600,000 a year. Lots of first class business, travel around the world and so on. It's a pretty cozy gig. So he's been handballed, but you'd struggle to find. Well, no, I mean he's not the worst possible choice you ever could make, but there'd be thousands in front of him who would be better qualified. Now, he looks sharp in his suit and all that sort of shit, but now there'd been an article in the media recently, that day or the previous day, that he felt had been critical of him in some social sort of sense. They weren't criticising him in a business sense, in his cognizance at least. And as we were sitting down, it's all he wanted to talk about, this fucking article it's some scientific or business newspaper. And he kept tapping the article or hammering the desk and pointing to it. And I couldn't get him to not talk about it. He had one of his flunky sort of hangers-on there. A guy who I think is just like a court jester would have been in the old days of the aristocrats, just there to tell him jokes and keep him happy and smooth the waters and that sort of stuff. So, and he looks like that sort of guy, this other guy. So I tried to get him to stop talking about it and concentrate on the business issues, which he's not really qualified to talk about. You want to talk about backstabbing politics in the back room and everything. He's all over that, but he doesn't know dog shit outside of that. So anyway, he insisted. He kept on waving it. Read this. Look, have a look at this. So I had a look at it, and I didn't think it was really that critical of him. I mean, given how fucking useless he is, it could have really gone to town on him, but it didn't. I thought it was quite tame. But he's very much in image management. And for people who are useless and don't know anything, and just well connected, image management is important because he wants to project this image that he's some technological fucking genius and that sort of thing, which he definitely is not. So that's the sort of guy they got heading up the thing. Now here's, I'll just run through a few examples of technology that I think could have been commercialized very, very successfully, and could have done very well. And again, really created opportunities, local opportunities, lots of well-paid high-tech jobs, that sort of thing. And these have all been squandered. So example one, once it's determined by the Quango and some other hangers on, and a few people maybe from some sort of science and technology advisory body, once they think or seem to believe it's got a real chance of making a big splash, some invention, some technology, new science, or IT or whatever it is, some new technology. Once they make that decision, then that's it. It's almost a stampede then of how many of their buddies, mistresses, flunkies, can be put in there to enjoy this guaranteed success. I mean, it's like kids with no restraint in a chocolate shop. They just let go in the candy and the chocolate and the and they're just going hysterical, grabbing what they can and running around, falling over each other, dropping the chocolate bars. It's that sort of scene, if you can picture it in your mind's eye. So the guy, this particular one, the guy who is selected to head it up has been a long time administrative hack in the accounts department of a university. The guy's never done anything commercial in his fucking life. He's never sold a thing or organised it. He's just at best, a low-level accountant. But he's got he's liked by the right people. He's got the years on the board, so they put him in there, and he'd be, I don't know, pushing 60, I suppose, which in itself isn't the end of the world. First thing he does is then employs his very plain-looking, by the way, 35-year-old freckle-covered mistress, and then she's now the HR director for the thing, and he sets her up in like a separate human resources consulting firm, and then she's going to do all the hiring, and exorbitant fees that he signs off on are being paid to her, so they can fund their little love nest in the middle of wherever. But then the university equity and inclusion department, deals themselves into the game, and they want an equal number of black lesbians to everyone else. Everything has to be race, gender balance. Can't have all those damn white folks. Now the problem is all the inventors, of course, are straight white boys. So I mean, what an outrage that is. So they've got to balance that out. So there's three very smart young guys, very smart guys, but they've got to be balanced out with three low IQ black lesbians. Otherwise, there's no equity. And have you got a problem with that, you damn fascist Nazi Hitler? So they're bringing all these people in who haven't got a fucking clue, who've got no relevant experience. They don't even want to be there. They're so entitled that they just want to hang around and I'm not going to answer the phone. Why do I have, I'm an entitled little snot-nosed SJW. And it just goes on and on. So you're guaranteed the head guy who's going to sell this technology and go out to the world and, bang on the doors and beat the bushes and pound the pavements, all this sort of thing. He's never sold anything in his fucking life. So it's almost as they've gone around to find, how can we employ people who are totally unqualified to do this job and will guarantee it's screaming failure? Let's do that. And that seems to be how they've gone about things. But they see it in reverse. They say, well, the success is guaranteed. This is glory and riches for all. So why should we deny it to the people the oppressed people? Black lesbians have a right to share in this bounty, this manna from heaven. They have a right to it, and you trying to stop that, you damn fucking Hitler. And so that you don't need to have it's no great feat of imagination to see where this is going. That was a screaming failure. It crashed and burned, burning vast sums of money in the process. And these people who are not commercial, they've got no. They sort of at the end of it, they were looking to, I don't know what happened, or well, why did that happen? yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You had things like people who were formerly from some Central African basket case, shithole, and somehow they've come to Australia and they've been gifted a job in a university. They couldn't get under any real, and then they somehow got put into this venture simply because they needed the black lesbian or something like that. So this person manages to wangle for themselves a business class trip back to their homeland so they can run around skiting about, I went to Whitey's domain and I fucking made it. Just look at me, flying around, staying in 5-star hotels. Look at it. Look, wow, what a success I've made. Whitey's so dumb, they just give us these jobs. I don't know what I'm doing, but hey, Whitey just gives it to me, and so why shouldn't I take it? And so you're burning money on ridiculous things, idiotic things, all because of this, equity and inclusion and gender and race. So that crashed and burned. And others, I don't really need to go into other examples because they're all on or about the same sort of thing. Don't employ people who know what they're doing. Instead, you employ people who haven't got a clue, don't even know what day it is, and you put them in there, and they just milk for what they can. And some of they come away with it. Well, I made a couple of $100,000. I had a few decent overseas trips, and stayed in some nice hotels. Hey, what the hell? It didn't work out, and they just drift off into some other junket or gravy train. But this is happening all the time. I will give another example. Here again, another university invention, very clever invention, real opportunity to go places. Now, a venture capital firm sort of went on a private partnership, public-private partnership gig with the government, and they both put, I don't know whether they put in exactly the same amount, but the claim was dollar for dollar. It doesn't look like it. But again, instead of and this is a private venture capital firm, instead of them looking at how can we make this successful, again, the first thing they did is how many of our buddies can we put in? Yeah, and then again, diversity and inclusion departments, how many black lesbians can we put in there? So you had this quite clever technology, and nothing had even been sold yet, and they already had, executive director of marketing on a pretty decent salary, executive director of communications, diversity and inclusion directors. They just stuffed it as if it was some massive bureaucracy. They couldn't see this as to them, it was just an extension of a very bureaucratic bureaucracy. So they stuffed it full of people. The payroll was in the multi-millions of dollars a month. And this is before they've sold anything, before there's even a finished product to put out to the market. And then the venture capital firm buys the technology. The government runs it. Hey, we've run out of money here. It's not going anywhere. We can't get to the commercial end of things quick enough before the money's run out. So the venture capital firm goes, we'll take it off your hands for next to nothing. They then sell it on to someone else overseas, making a tidy sum, by the way. So there's another one that was lost. Now, this is not happening here or occasionally there. This is happening time and time and time again. And there's no lessons being learned. Yeah, there's no saying, well, gee, it didn't work out last time. I wonder if putting that huge, expensive bureaucracy around a product that wasn't even ready to go to market, I wonder if that had something to do with it. No. That didn't work out. Hey, and they don't give a shit. There's no ownership or anything like that. They'll just go straight on to the next gravy train, or ride the next, ride the next easy one there. No one really cares, and no one's changing their behaviour. And it's the same thing over and over and over again. And with it, of course, there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs that are being high-tech jobs, well-paid jobs, jobs that high IQ people can get. But instead of keeping those jobs in Australia or in the West, keeping those jobs, they're just being lost. And all the funds and resources that are being thrown at them are just, you might as well take it out in the backyard and just set fire to all that money. That's the only thing it's achieving. But it's very sad because nobody really cares. The accounting guy who got given the CEO of one of these ventures, when all the money had been burned, all the money was gone, and he just went straight back to his old accounting job. I had a good time. What's wrong with that? And this sort of thing is so widespread, and again, it's happening all over the place and time again. And with it, vast amounts of Western wealth and opportunity are being squandered. It's simply not good enough. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.